Here we are, another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. On this week's program, trade talk with the U.S. turned ugly again this week. President Trump halting talks after the Ontario government delivered an anti-tariff ad to American television. A further threat to our economy, or just more bravado? We get some perspective. The Gift to Family Christmas charity has extended its deadline until mid-November. We get an update from its founder and one of her elves. Barrie Mayor Alex Nuttall stops by to talk roads and the ongoing work around town, and there's our usual update on the Barrie Colts. We get the conversation started after this. So let's take a closer look at the latest chapter in the tariff trauma between Canada and the U.S. President Trump halting trade talks, angry over anti-tariff ads the Ontario government ran on U.S. television last weekend, featuring an excerpt from former President Reagan's talk on tariffs in the late 80s. Barrie 360's Ian Maclennan reached out to Kyle Peacock at Peacock Tariff Consulting in Orillia to get his take on this.
Well, Donald Trump has threatened an additional 10% tariffs on Canada over this Ontario ad, but he hasn't identified when or which products. So is this the real deal, or is this more Trump bluster?
I think it's very timely that he came out with this, as nothing has followed up officially through the trade channels. This could be just bluster for negotiations with Canada at the summit that everyone is currently at. But if trade negotiations do not go well over there, I fully expect that we'll see this in trade channels within a week.
Premier Ford has called the Ontario anti-tariff ad the greatest ever in North America. He doesn't expect Trump even to follow through on this threat. Business groups, they're not really overreacting. So do we have a better understanding maybe about when it comes to Trump, what's real and again, what's bluster?
I think that people are, but I think if anything with the current regime is uncertainty and unconventional process seems to be at the forefront. So as much as we think, or individuals think we can read what will be coming next, I think the current president is showing that to expect the unexpected.
Now, when this latest trade matter erupted over the ad, I saw some reports that indicated that Canada is the only G7 nation that doesn't have a current trade deal with the Trump administration, but that's not quite true, is it?
I think that's a little bit misleading, because we do have the CUSMA, which is in essence a very large trade deal signed with the Trump administration during the first term. I think from the current aspects, looking at what else is outstanding out of CUSMA, those are the details that seem to be what is being negotiated, which is being tariffed on. And that is a small portion of our products being exported to the U.S.
Prime Minister Mark Carney's in Asia for some various summits. He said Canada was very close to a trade agreement with the U.S. when this Ontario ad hit the airwaves, but he hasn't overreacted to Trump's new tariff threat. Is this strategy by the Prime Minister?
I think you'll see that this is a one-off. I think that it shows that Mr. Trump looks like at countries like companies, and I think that it shows that the companies that, or countries that don't have alignment within them, that he tries to use that to his advantage to get a better deal. I think he's shown that in the past, and that he shows that between our current provincial/federal governments not being aligned, he's using some of that to his advantage, which he has in his past.
Now, you deal with business people who have been impacted by the tariffs and, do trade with the U.S. We were close to deals. There were going to be no more tariffs. And then there were more threats of tariffs. It's like a shell game. And I'm just wondering, don't business owners, business groups want something definitive coming down the pipeline? How disruptive is this to a business, and what advice do you offer?
I think that what we're seeing with our current clients is that the wait-and-see approach has ended. That, a deal will be done. We'll go back to what we were previous in the last 50 years of relationship with the U.S. on how we trade, that isn't ever coming back in this current standpoint. And you're seeing that businesses now are realizing this, and they're becoming creative and reactive to these tools. So, for instance, clients that are bringing steel in from the U.S. to have it fabricated because they know that they have an end product going to the U.S. and don't want to pay the steel tariffs. They're starting to come up with their mitigation measures to ensure that they have the best product at the lowest cost going to the external markets.
So does that include the possibility of, you talk about innovation, doing things that businesses weren't doing before on their home turf, whether it's the production of steel or opening up new markets?
Correct. So that's where, obviously, if you can maintain your current process and just find a new market, that's wonderful. That isn't an option for all customers or clients or companies, because they do have a standpoint where they have a certain distribution, logistics, supply chain market into the U.S., and it's such a big environment of individuals where that is where their consumer base is. So it doesn't allow them just to find additional markets. So to have that, they need to fill both.
Now, before this eruption by Trump, Carney said a trade deal with the U.S. was close. And do you believe this was strictly tariff-related, separate from CUSMA? I mean, specific products that have been hammered by the tariffs that Trump has announced on products like steel, aluminum, and autos.
Correct. So this would be, from all understanding and everything that we have heard, this is all outside of the CUSMA deal at this point. And so it would be anything that is not an exception under CUSMA, so the about 15% of our exports, as well as the additional tariffs that we have seen on steel, aluminum, car parts, cars, etc., automotive, and it would apply to everything along those lines. And I think this is where it puts Mark Carney in a almost an ideal position where he can negotiate with the two biggest markets that would affect anything from our West Coast, either into the U.S. or into China. He will have both parties there, and he will be able to negotiate with both, and hopefully play one another off to a better deal.
Now, we won't know the results by the time this program airs, but a summit in Asia, Carney is going to have a face-to-face with China's president. Relations between the two countries have been very tense over the past few years. So is this Ottawa's attempt to revisit that relationship, drum up trade deals and business? China's been named a security threat, but by the same token, they are a critical market. We have to balance both, I guess.
I think this is where it puts Mark Carney in a almost an ideal position where he can negotiate with the two biggest markets that would affect anything from our West Coast, either into the U.S. or into China. He will have both parties there, and he will be able to negotiate with both, and hopefully play one another off to a better deal.
This is what Barrie's talking about from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely, joined again by Amanda Patrick, the driving force behind the Gift of Family charity. And you brought a guest with you this time.
I did, a very special little elf, my son Weston, who's 9.
All right, and you're a great elf, aren't you?
Yep.
Big help with the charity?
Yep.
Big help for Mom around the house? Say yes.
Sometimes.
Say yes.
Yes.
Good answer is yes.
Yes.
Give a good impression to everybody listening. You were here 2-3 weeks ago to kick off the campaign for this year, and it's a very short campaign. You had a deadline of October 30th or 31st, I think.
We did, but we've gotten an influx of sponsors, so we actually can help more families. So I'm going to extend the deadline to nominate a family or nominate your own family for a Christmas experience until November 15th.
Still gives you lots of time to get everything packaged up and ready for families for Christmas?
Yeah, we match the families with a sponsor. They get to do all the shopping, and they drop off by mid-December.
As I recall, you were hoping to help 200 families this year. It sounds like maybe you're going to get to more?
We could possibly. I'm looking for quality, not quantity. So if we can help the right families, that's my ultimate goal.
Let's revisit. What's the charity all about? How does it work? What do you need?
So this is a grassroots charitable initiative that I started in 2023, and we gift full Christmas experiences to local kids in Barrie who otherwise would not get to experience Christmas. And 50% of our families don't have Christmas trees, so we supply everything from the Christmas tree to the lights and the bulbs and the ornaments to the dinner to the gifts, the light show experience, everything that the kid needs to feel special and boost their self-esteem.
So unlike a lot of other charities where it's a gift or two or three, this is the whole enchilada.
The full experience, because if you remember the nostalgia from when you were a kid or when you watched the movies, it's the feeling of Christmas. And that's really the goal of the campaign. And so we match sponsors with families. They do the shopping. They get to chat with the family directly in a private chat. And then they actually get to meet the family on drop-off. So they get to see the direct impact of their donation. And it's a very special experience.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Huge, yeah. How did this all come about?
I had this crazy idea in late October 2023. I was one of these kids that we're supporting as a kid, and I decided I wanted to try and help. So in 2 weeks, I got this thing up off the ground, and with 5 weeks to work the campaign, we were able to gift 91 kids with full Christmases, which was wild, but there is a great need here. And it was very special to me personally to be able to help the kids now that are growing up the way I grew up.
What role does this young man have in all of this?
Well, Weston, you do the shopping and the drop-off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you think about the family that you met last year?
They were really nice. They had 4 kids, and then they were really nice. And with my step siblings, we went there and we just had fun and played with them. Then we went to tobogganing with them, and it was just really fun.
Give you a good feeling, right?
Yeah.
To be able to help out somebody who's maybe not as fortunate as you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting really involved again this year too? Looking forward to meeting another family?
Yep. I help basically every family.
And you do it out of the goodness of your heart.
Yep.
So how do people get involved? Are you still looking for sponsors, first of all? Or do you have enough for this year?
Yeah, if you're a family, an individual, or a company, it's a great corporate initiative for your company. You can get everyone involved. You can either do a financial donation and our volunteers will shop, or you can actually shop for a family and meet them. So that's one aspect of it that we're definitely looking for. There's a lot of families in need, or if you are a family in need or you know of a family in need, you can nominate them through giftafamily.ca or our Instagram, which is Gift a Family.
Now, you talked about volunteers a couple of times, and I know you've got one here with you today, but there must be a few more. Do you need others to give you a hand with this?
We have an amazing volunteer team right now, so we're at full capacity with that. But definitely the way people can help is by sharing the posts on Instagram and just sharing it in general to your network. Send out a text, send out a post on social media.
Think hard. Is there a family that you know of who could use a hand and nominate them?
And you can do it anonymously, and that's the way I've set it up. So if you're a teacher, a coach, a neighbor, a family member, and you know of kids in need, I want to remove the stigma. You can nominate them anonymously, and I will personally vet the families for you.
All right. You gave the coordinates once before. Give them again. Where do people get in touch with you?
So giftafamily.ca or Instagram at giftafamily.
And the deadline now is November 15th.
November 15th.
Get on it.
Thanks.
Summer has turned to fall, but the roadwork season has not ended. Still, a number of projects happening around Barrie and the surrounding area. Barrie Mayor Alex Nuttall stopped in with some insight on what's been done, what's still to be done, and how the city determines what should be done. He's with our Ian Maclennan.
Used to be that summer season, well, of course, was construction season in Barrie. Now we're in the fall season, and the road work continues. There's a lot that has happened and continues to happen. I'm just wondering if you can highlight some of the road projects, because everybody wants their road paved when there's a bump or there's a pothole. Let us in on what's going on.
Yeah, we've seen quite a lot of road construction, obviously, through the city. Some of it is the city of Barrie, some of it is the province of Ontario. And as you know, what I ran on when I was running for mayor was to make sure that we fix the roads. And that was a euphemism for a whole bunch of other things as well. But really, if you take it to its core, there's been roads that have been left behind for years and years and years and years. I mean, if you look at Gunn Street in the city of Barrie, we were debating that around the council chambers in 2006 and 7 and 8 and 9, and we just had it fixed. I think about 18 months ago we finished the project. There's over on Grove Street, St. Vincent Street, Duckworth Street, throughout the north end, there's been a ton of work. Over in the south end, there's a lot of work happening as well. When you think about, for instance, the work that's happened to Brine that will now continue to happen to Brine in the future as we attempt to move into the final phase of that road, with the extension right through to, call it Essa Road. So there's a lot of work the city is doing around the city. At the same time, the province, all of those bridges that are being worked on right now, whether it's Dunlop Street, soon to be Bayfield Street, to get the bridges wide enough so that they can finish the 400 expansion and have a safe ramp on and off of the 400. And that's currently underway as well. So while Essa Road has been completed on the province's side, there's a lot more work that's coming, and it's still going to be another couple of years of difficulty before we're through the worst of it.
Yeah, the 400, obviously, it's part and parcel of a growing city, too. The bridges needed to be widened anyway, just to accommodate the traffic flow. I think, you know what Dunlop Street is like of the 400 on technically even a rush hour.
Yeah, Dunlop Street's going to be a difficult one, right? Because it's kind of the oldest of the bridges and was the only one that was still one lane that was a major artery. And so we're going to see, obviously, that's going to be a lot of work, and it is a very key artery to get across to the west side of the city on the other side of the 400. So I think there's going to be some major delays because of that coming, unfortunately. But on the flip side, you know, when this thing is done, we're going to see a multi-lane road in place and a lot better traffic flows up and down Dunlop Street. So the shorter term pain, and unfortunately in this case, the short term is a long time. It's going to be a couple of years to get that project done, but we'll end up in a better place on the flip side of it.
When projects are being determined, not everything is paving too. There's the stuff that people don't see, you know, the underground, the infrastructure and sewers and et cetera. How do you make the determination as a council in terms of what, and through your city staff, obviously, what projects need to be prioritized? Because there are roads out there that obviously haven't been touched yet that could use a facelift.
I think that as we think about any of the work that's being done, let's say the sewers and water, to go back to your core question, the sewers and water in the city, we have machines that go around and test how's the road itself doing, what's the condition of the underlay, and then what's the condition of the sewers and the water. We do constant testing to figure out where we should be investing more dollars. And, you know, when you think about on the water pipes, for instance, those old water pipes, the loss of water that happens inside the system is going to create costs for us that we, you know, obviously don't want to have. And so as we're able to go around and keep these pipes in good condition, it actually ends up saving us money in the long run in terms of the use of water. And so it's a very good investment. Staff are constantly monitoring, making sure that whatever projects need to happen, whatever the most serious conditions are that exist inside of our infrastructure, they're dealt with first. When it comes to roads, a lot of it is the traffic flow times the condition of the road, because obviously if we're, you know, having roads that are taking 10,000 vehicles a day and roads that are taking 500 vehicles a day, you really need to make sure that the traffic's flowing around the city.
And some of the stuff on Owen Street too is related to climate, really, the flood prevention. And is that something the city is also looking at too, with regards to, you know, we hear so much now about intensity of rainstorms and et cetera. And is the city of Barrie equipped to deal with what could be coming down the line if it's not already here?
Yeah, I think it's really important that we are protecting our jewel, Lake Simcoe, right? Everything we do in this city is because we are on Lake Simcoe. We're on Kemptfelt Bay. We have access to the most beautiful waterfront in the world, and we got to make sure we protect that resource, you know, more than anything else, because it's the lifeblood of the city. So when you look at the stormwater runoffs and what's happening in different areas of the city, sometimes you'll see us doing work on creeks. It's like, well, why are they doing that work? Well, it's to protect Lake Simcoe. It's to ensure that we don't have, you know, massive flooding when we do have extreme weather, and it's to make sure that we are, you know, living in a safe city all the time. So What you're seeing down on Owen Street is investment in a few things. It's water and wastewater upgrades underneath the road. The road itself was in fairly good condition, but the infrastructure underneath was not. And the other thing that's happening there is we're between Owen Street and also the waterfront, we've done a ton of work to address the stormwater runoff and how that's going to be handled by the sewers to prevent as much as we can water going directly from hard concrete and taking pollutants right down into the lake. So there's constantly work being done. Staff are really trying to make sure that the projects that are done are those that address the most critical issues inside of the city. And I would say that Lake Simcoe is amongst the most important, if not the most important.
So paved road is a big component, but there's so much more to it when it comes to road infrastructure and construction that people may find kind of boring to talk about, but it's critical.
Well, and it's expensive. It's probably in excess of $100 million a year that we're into the ground. It is substantive.
What challenges does that present for the city in terms of when it comes to a budget, or do you get any support at other levels of government? Or
well, yeah, there is support. I mean, if you think about the provincial government gave us $34.5 million to move pipe down Orillia Road and across Mackay to get sewers to the southwest part of the city, out of what will be a $60 million to $65 million project. They also gave us $18.5 million to deal with stormwater runoff and boulevards, et cetera, over on Mapleview Drive East at Yonge Street. So, those two projects alone, there's 60 some odd million that we're proceeding with right now. In fact, I think we're getting into the ground on the Mackay Road and Huronia one this week, if not last week. So there's certainly support coming from the province and the feds. There's also the gas tax. A lot of those dollars are meant to keep our road infrastructure in good shape, especially the ones that are using public transit. So our main arterial roads, we can use some of the gas tax that gets transferred from the federal government over to the city of Barrie to address some of the needs along our arterial roads.
What message would you send? Because people, hop on social media, they want their road done. And I was on Donald Street where the road's blocked off construction right now. The detour took me over some really bumpy roads too, and I'm like, oh my God, this isn't so great either. What message would you send to people? Say, you're doing Donald, but my road's not so great either.
Well, I think, look, we always have to have a list of priority projects to do, and we're working through the city. And if there's a road that you don't feel is getting properly addressed, like email us, let us know at officeofthemayor@barrie.ca, and then we can work with staff on where it fits into the system. Sometimes it's just that it's not getting enough traffic. I think like Mary Street would be an example, right? Like it's a one-way road. It's got, certainly local driveways on it. It's not used as a critical piece of arterial infrastructure, whereas Toronto Street does get a ton of attention, but it's used for the moving vehicles around the city. So I think that we certainly need to put it into the system to make sure that we're addressing the most critical needs first. But if there's something that's missed or anything like that, just let us know. Like our staff and certainly council, we're not perfect. And if we need a reminder, just let us know.
I can tell you, though, Mary Street, there has been paving done because I went on it yesterday.
We did address it. Good. Well, there you go.
Yeah, well, they're live breaking news from Dunlop Street up to the next intersection.
Perfect.
Because I was saying to somebody, if you pull out of the LCBO now, your liquor bottle isn't going to shatter as you try to navigate the bumps in the road. So it has been done. There you go.
Well, there you go. I was at, I'm going to admit, I was at that LCBO about a week and a half ago. And it wasn't done, so I'm glad it has actually been fixed up at this point.
And it's funny how you drive along it, and it's like, there was not a bump. They paved this.
You know what's interesting about that, and at some point we should get a study done. I want to see what happens in the area, because when you fix up roads and you fix up the infrastructure in an area, and we know it's a place where we've had some issues with behaviors. It'll be interesting to see what happens around that, because hopefully it sets the standard and the tone as we're moving the city forward.
Barrie Colts still trying to find their giddy-up, a win and a loss last weekend. Barrie 360's Julius Hearn and Colts analyst Gene Pereira take their weekly look back and ahead.
All right, Gene, 4-7-0-3. The Colts are 8th in the Eastern Conference. Back in the win column as well. A big win in overtime, 4-3 over Kitchener at home on Saturday. But let's start with that loss in Sudbury on Friday night. Have you seen any improvement over maybe where this team lacks the most, and that's special teams?
Yeah, especially the Kitchener game in the third period. When you go back, Barrie's protected a 1-goal lead, and they got a couple of penalties, and their penalty kill came through this time with a couple of huge penalty kills. So I think that was key early in that third period, and again, but Friday night in Sudbury again, they're just taking too many penalties, and a few of them are obviously unnecessary, and kind of plays in the offensive zone that you don't need to take a penalty. It's something they're going to have to address, especially when their penalty kill is struggling the way it is.
Now, at the time of that game on Friday night, Sudbury was the only team below Barrie in the OHL standings. Now, even this early in the season, does the Colts maybe even see a game like that against Sudbury as a must-win?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that Barrie went into Sudbury looking for a win, and certainly when you're on a losing streak. And, again, 5-on-5, they're playing some solid hockey. I mean, they're right there, but specialty teams continue to be a big factor. Their power play has been pretty solid, but their penalty kill has really just hurt them. And, it's something they're going to have to address. But there's no doubt the slow start, the hope here is you turn around. And, just junior hockey can be strange, right? You lose on a Friday night to the last place team overall, and then you go beat one of the top teams in the country in Kitchener the next night.
We noticed in that game in Sudbury the earlier game start time because the Blue Jays isn't playing in the World Series, so they moved that game from 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock. The Colts haven't been changing their game times, but I'm curious, Gene, if you've noticed that on the road so far, and we'll also see it Wednesday night in Brantford, if the Colts are having a little bit more hard time adjusting to the earlier start times.
I don't think it has a big factor. I mean, it's an hour difference in terms of the starts and so on. For Barrie, I think it's just they haven't been on the road a lot. You always hear from teams and coaches that how important those early road trips are in terms of team unity and certainly getting new faces. And you have a lot of new faces in the squad, which Barrie does. The hope here is they're starting to get out on the road more, and they can build more of that team atmosphere. And, over the years, I've noticed Barrie on the road tend to play a simpler game, and sometimes that works out well. They've had some decent road records, and a lot of that is, I think, you kind of get on the road and you stick to the structure, and it's something they're going to certainly have to do, as they move forward here.
All right, let's move over to that 4-3 overtime win on Saturday against Kitchener. One of the best teams in the OHL, mind you, the Kitchener Rangers. The Colts get a big win. They get the monkey off their back. They get rid of a 6-game losing streak. Cole Beaudoin gets the overtime winner, and we've said it all year long. He's an Energizer Bunny, as you've called him so far this year. What have you noticed that his biggest impacts are since getting back from Utah Mammoth camp?
Oh, it means a lot, especially for the younger players. When you look at Cole, I mean, there's a big reason why, he's wearing, he's one of the captains. I mean, it's what you want your younger players to look up to. I mean, this is a guy that, off the ice, he just works. I mean, one of the things, Julius, is that after games, he's on there riding the bike. It just tells you he's a true professional in terms of his fitness. He takes everything seriously, and there he is, after a hard-fought game, couple of games in a row, there he is back on the bike after every game. And then, you look at that determination on the ice, and I can tell you, talking to Cole after games, if they lose, he's not a happy guy. And, the young players see that. They see that, and, they learn off that, and they feed off that. And, Cole's just one of those true leaders. He's really developed that leadership quality. Keyshawn Aitchison is another one, and it was really no surprise that in overtime, at the biggest moment, those two hooked up for the game winner. And, again, it just really tells you that, what Cole Beaudoin has developed as a player. But fitness-wise, he's one of the best in terms of being in physical fitness. Certainly on the Colts, and if not the entire OHL. So it really just tells you that why he's wearing that letter in his jersey. He's truly a player that you look to on and off the ice.
We've seen a lot of newer names, a lot of younger names get on the score sheet over the last few games or so. Who, in your mind, has kind of stuck out to you the most in terms of the way they've been playing, even throughout the losing stretch?
Another guy that is standing out, Julius, is Eamon Edgar. I think you see the progression from the young forward. This is a guy that they're really high on, and he's kind of found his way the first couple of games, but you're starting to see that offensive skill come back. And he's got great vision, great knowledge, and he seems to know where he wants to be on the ice and where he wants the puck to go. And you're starting to see that now. He scored his first couple of goals, and I think this is kind of just the trigger. You can really see this guy developing, and when you combine that with the Rebels goaltending, you talk about a team that needs to turn around. Those are two big factors.
Yeah, I noticed him get on the score sheet. He had a big goal in that game against Kitchener too, which was really nice to see. 3-game stretch coming up this week. Wednesday night in Brantford, another earlier start time because of the Blue Jays, but then home to Sarnia on Thursday, and then home to Erie on Saturday. Another 3-game stretch. What are you expecting this team to kind of come out with now, with back to winning ways for the next 3 games?
Well, I think when you look at the schedule, I think Barrie is looking at it, and a couple of those games are certainly well within your grasp. You're on home ice, and they're the type of games that when you've had the skid that you have, you want to win. Obviously, having gone into Brantford on Wednesday night, it's one of the top teams in the country. But you come back to a Sarnia team that is still in a bit of a rebuilding mode, and then back at home on Saturday. Those are 2 games that you want to win. So I think at this point, for a young Colts team, you want to build off that big win over Kitchener, and you're looking at least at having a winning week would be a big step for this team.
And of course, Emil Hemming, big name coming back into the Colts lineup. He spent 5 games with Texas in the AHL. He had a big year last year, 18 goals in 2024-25. What's his impact going to be?
Oh, it's a huge addition for Barrie. What he brings. Emil, kind of found his way coming over a Finnish import. It took him a little bit to get him accustomed, but in the second half of last season and into the playoffs, he was outstanding. And your specialty teams right away get so much better. He's a big factor on the power play. He's got a big-time shot. He's a guy that kind of set up for those one-timers. And as well on the penalty kill. He logs a lot of minutes on the penalty kill, and he'll certainly help that. But here's a guy that's going to get top 6 minutes, is going to play a lot. And, I expect him to be paired up with Cole Baldwin and, a couple of guys right there that can really dominate the OHL. And it's a big return for Barrie, and I think for Emil, he's going to want to prove that, hey, I'm going to come back, I'm going to dominate, and then I want to be in the NHL next season.
Well, of course, another NHL prospect getting added to this Barrie Colts lineup, and still relatively early in this season, so a lot of time for this team to get back in the hunt and get back into firm playoff status. Gene, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Julius.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Ian and Julius for their input, to Matt Latter for his technical expertise, and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Blue Sky and X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and there's our daily Kickstart podcast available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.